together after COVID began. So we met outdoors, socially distant, and we got together to greet one another, to stretch, to move, and this is something that we find really important to who we are. And then up in the corner, you see a kindergarten class meeting in the morning in circle where they learn all different skills, K-12, in terms of greeting one another, sharing stories, connecting, and problem solving with one another. Westgate Community School itself started in circle. It is conversations that started in a parking lot during car line of all things at another school. And teachers and parents stood around and they started talking about what gifted kids need and what all kids need really in a school. And if they could create a school, what would they do? What would they do if they could build it themselves? And that circle in a parking lot ended up around a kitchen table where a core group of those parents and teachers said, can we do it? Do you think we could start our own school? And they dreamed and they started to look at the logistics of it, the timing, what would they need to make it happen. And those core people, our founders, made it happen by the next school year, which if you've ever tried to start a business or anything, the League of Charter Schools actually told them, oh, think out a year and a half. And they said, no, this is what kids need. This is what families need right now. And so they worked around the clock to make it happen. And the next year, the school opened. And ever since then, we've grown to right now, we are K-12 and at full growth, which is 550 students. So typically at a prospective parent night in person, we like to try to start in circle as well and introduce ourselves and talk about what grades our kids are in. So if you see the chat, if you could introduce yourself and tell us what grade your kids are in, that would be wonderful. And that way we can get an idea of who's in the prospective parent night, and you can kind of get to know one another, even though I know you can't see everybody right now. So that way I'll be sure to hit kindergarten specifically, elementary, and those intermediate grades, middle school and high school. Okay, and we're going to start with a little bit of an inspirational.
Every generation must pass on the wisdom of the previous generations. If we don't keep the next chain connected to the ones that came before it, it's all gone. And who's the glue between those chains? It's you. It's you. This is a sacred trust as educators and parents. The sacred trust. We've got to be that light. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. Is a sacred place. It's not a room in a school. It's any place where a teacher helps a child patiently and artfully in their journey. In this sacred place, we must nurture the gift of a question. In this sacred place, the teacher lights the way. This is a sacred trust. As educators and parents, a sacred trust. We've got to be that light. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. We have to ensure that testing serves education. We have to ensure that education does not serve testing. We as a nation now are teaching to the test. We as a nation now are beating all of the joy out of our classrooms. The book of knowledge is not written in our genes. What's written in our genes is the journey. It's the journey. We should be nurturing that gift of a question. We should help create that pathway to an answer. The teacher's the guide. It's a student's classroom. They are remarkable explorers. This is a sacred trust. As educators and parents, a sacred trust. We've got to be that light. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way. We've got to be that light. That shining light that guides the way.
Every time I see that video, I think, yes. And if you left right now, you would know a lot about how we feel at Westgate, about the partnership of education between the families, the school, and the child. It is a partnership. It is what we believe about kids leading the classrooms and the teachers being there as the guide and the coach, and the peers are there to help students learn. So to those of you who have just joined us, welcome to Westgate Community Schools Parent Perspective Night. And we are here to tell you a little bit about our school. Tonight's agenda, for those of you who want to know how things are going to go, we're going to give you a brief history of our school, tell you a little bit about our programming and really what makes Westgate special. Go through the enrollment process and the lottery process. And then at the end, if you have any questions, you can put them into the chat. If they come to you during the presentation, if you want to put them into the chat, Holly Peterson, our Director of Communication, is here, and also Rochelle Goforth, our Director of Enrollment, who many of you have already spoken to or been on a tour with. She's here as well, so we can start to get some of those questions, so at the end we can answer them for everyone. Brief history of Westgate Community School. I said a little bit earlier, we are a public charter school, and we are in Adams 12 School District. We are 13 years old this year. We're in our 13th year of operation. I am the Executive Director, Sharon Collins, and I have been at the school for 9 years this year. The first thing our founders did was get to name the school. So Westgate stands for Welcoming Exceptional Students to Gifted and Talented Education. And this really meant a lot to our founders. The idea of welcoming these wonderful students into our community and into full-time gifted and talented education was really important. Westgate Community School is a small school of innovation that seeks to serve gifted students who would benefit from a creative, collaborative, and less traditional educational environment. And my hope is tonight that you leave here with a good understanding of the philosophy of Westgate Community School and what we believe about K-12 gifted education for the whole child. We believe in whole child education, and at Westgate Community School, that gets broken down into mind, body, and community. And we speak about this. Our students know that this is what we do. And I'll talk a little bit about each of these three categories and how they come to life in our school each and every day. When we talk about whole child education, it really is ground up from our foundation as a school, where our lens is. We believe that you can't focus on one area of a human being without losing something. So when we talk about mind at Westgate Community School, we are talking about what we know is good for our brains. And we'll talk about a little bit of that in body as well. We believe in academic depth and complexity. So our belief about gifted education is not only moving as fast as we can through curriculum, but really going deep and getting complex in the different subject areas. Making connections to other curricular areas, talking about what it means in terms of ethics and politics and social science and history, and really looking to get deep within subject areas and make connections to the world around us. We ask all of our teachers, pre-test, find out what our kids already know, because what we know is they know a lot. And so we want to know, what do they know? Where are there gaps in their understanding, gaps in their standards or skills? How do we differentiate for our kids? Where can we course compact? Our kids know that. So let's move through the rest of the curriculum or this unit in a different way so that we have time to do some more of that depth and complex work with our kids. We are a cutting edge, student-centered instructional practices. As a charter school, we have the wonderful gift of being able to adapt and adjust as things change. And when we know something is working or new research comes out, we can pivot very, very quickly. Where a larger district sometimes takes a little bit longer for them to make curricular changes or instructional practice changes, we can view the research, view the data of our students, and adjust very quickly, bring in the right resources, as well as training for our teachers so that our students continue to grow and our curriculum and our offerings continue to adapt to the students' needs. We are a small school. We are 550 students total, K-12, and we have small class sizes. Kindergarten is right around 15 to 18 students. This year, the class is settled right around 15, 16 students. And the remainder of our grades or our classes are average 25. So some may be a little fewer, some may be up to 26, but the average is 25 per class. Our high school is 25 students per grade, and I'll talk a little bit about that later and why that is. We do needs-based instructions, and we have mixed-age teams, which allows for flexible groupings. So kindergarten is a team by itself, but it shares a pod area with our first and second graders. So 1, 2 is a team, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. This is very important to us because gifted students, we know, are asynchronous. Some like to be around older kids, some like to make friends easier with students who are younger than they are. And so being on a team that has 2 grade levels allows us to be able to have friends younger than us and then older than us as we move through the school. This also allows our students to learn how to become leaders. When I'm in second grade, I can lead the first graders and tell them how we do things on the 1-2 team. Then when I go to third grade, I know to look at the fourth graders as the leaders on the team to help me adjust and adapt to my new team and my new surroundings. We also have different levels throughout the team in terms of literacy instruction and math instruction. So if I'm a third grader, there will be a third grade on-level literacy class, but then there will be a class that's third grade that starts in third grade standards we assess and make sure that those standards are all in place and really with good knowledge without gaps or holes. And then we move on to fourth grade standards, or they can move on to fifth grade standards if they need to, because on the 3-4 team, there'll be a fourth grade class that's on level, as well as a fourth grade class that's faster moving and moves into those fifth grade standards. All teams have math and literacy at the same time. So if there's a student who does need radical acceleration over 2 grades ahead, they can move on to the next team and get that needs-based instruction at the level that's important for them and appropriate for them. So we have advocacy. That's our social emotional learning, a part of every day. You saw the picture of Circle. It's in the morning in every single classroom, K-8. Students meet with their advocate, who's the teacher in that room. And those skills that are taught, first is the teacher advocating for their students, then teaching them alongside them how to start self-advocating. And then by 8th grade, we really want the students to take the lead there with just the support of their advocate when they need them. It's really important that students are seen every single day in school, especially now after COVID. We felt so disconnected. That connection we have found has been really important as we reintegrated back full-time into the school. And being seen, hearing our name every single day for students and adults, really, really important in terms of building community. We practice mindfulness within our building. We have a unique and manageable work at home policy, which means we're pretty much a no homework school, K-8. There are times where students maybe didn't get as much done during the class, or a team is working on something and they don't finish what they need to in order to be ready for the next lesson. And then a teacher may say to them, all right, we need to get 2 facts each for our topic for tomorrow so that we're ready to move forward. The teacher will communicate that to parents so that they know that there's some work to be done at home. We believe home time really is about family, following passion, relaxing, being out in nature, being with friends. And school time is really the time to concentrate on work and growth in a place you're surrounded by your peers and your partners in learning, and in the room with your teacher, your coach, your mentor, and struggling and grappling with complex issues and problems in a place where you can grow together and ask the questions and get the answers that you need to move forward. Kindergarten is a full day of academics. We also include imaginative play throughout the day and purposeful play. Our kindergartners, first and second graders, have 3 different recess times during the day in which imaginative play is encouraged. And you know, if you've seen 5 through 7-year-olds play, they take full advantage of that time. Purposeful play is when the teachers set out specific toys and activities for students that reinforce the learning that happened during math, literacy, science, or social studies. And during that time, it's a student choice time where play reinforces learning. Body is super important to learning, and we know that. We have to be able to move. Our brain, the research shows, if you are active and walk and get the blood moving before an assessment or before you read something for knowledge, for retention, your brain retains more. Your brain is ready to work more when your body is moving. And we believe that in all aspects of our school. So students have the ability to move in class. They learn appropriate movements in class, where it's appropriate to do that, how to get that movement if I need to pace or sway, how do I choose a different seating option from the flexible seating that may be offered within the classroom. Our teachers plan intentional movement into the learning, where students move throughout the classroom at different times to get some of that movement in. We have physical education at all grade levels. We have health education, where students start to learn about that brain-body connection. And recess K-8, K2, like I said, has an hour of outdoor recess every single day, 45 minutes for those intermediate grades of 3rd through 5th grade, 30 minutes a day for 6th through 8th grade. And our high school students also have movement, as well as they have off-campus lunch, where a lot of our students go for a walk and get outside. During this body part of our whole child education, students also learn the skills of self-regulation. We teach self-regulation skills. We model them as the adults in the building, and our older kids model them for our younger kids, and we practice them. We practice mindful breathing. All right, everyone, we're feeling I feel the energy is getting a little high in the class. I'll stop for a moment. We're going to breathe in and blow out the candle, and teach students to start to recognize that not only in their body, but in their space. What do I need to do to calm my mind and body so then I can get learning again? How do I, can I count backwards? Can I count forward? We have a wonderful 2nd grade teacher. I was just observing him, and during the transitions where the kids are putting stuff away and getting other things, he's counting by 2s with them, counting backwards by 3s, and just allowing the brain to sort of relax and do something else for a moment through that transition. We teach younger students about, how's my motor running? Am I running really high, or am I kind of slow and sluggish right now? So older students will give themselves a self-rating. I'm at a 5 right now. I need to take a break, which is the next thing, which we offer to all people within our building, students, teachers, staff members alike, the opportunity to take a break. And as adults, we do this without thinking about it. But in many traditional schools, students are not allowed to say, I need to take a break. So they may say, I need to go to the bathroom, or I need to go to the nurse, or they become dysregulated because they're not allowed to take that break. So students can say, to their collaborative team that they're working with, I need a break for a minute because maybe one of their ideas was shot down, or it's not going the way they thought. Then they can go fill up their water bottle, come back, take a minute in the community space, sit for a second, come back into class and say, okay, I'm ready to talk again. I'm ready to work this problem out. And teachers can say to a student, I need to take a moment, think about what's going to happen here, and then move forward. And students can say to a teacher, I need a break. It's really important that we learn those skills early. This builds community and trust. When you can look at somebody and say, I need a minute to think about what I want to say here, there's trust that's built there. This is a piece of who we are. And I talked about the multi-grade teams. Our teams create their team expectations with one another. They have that opportunity to lead and follow at different times. Our teachers teach as a team. They meet every single day during their planning period to say, hey, what's going on with the kids? How's everything going? Do you need help planning? Do you need support? And they can say, hey, I've noticed, Sharon seems a little withdrawn. Is she like that in your class, or is that only in my class? And they can really start to talk about what's going on with students social, emotionally, and academically, and really provide that wraparound services and that oversight that sometimes kids need. And it offers the opportunity, if the other teachers are like, no, Sharon's been great, then the teacher can speak with that student and say, is something going on? Do you need something in my room? What can I do to support you? We have a wonderful peer mentoring program in our high school, and high school students apply to become peer mentors. And on Fridays, as part of their service back to the school, they peer mentor younger students. Our peer mentoring program has been highlighted on NPR and has become a national model, and we're very proud of it. We have schools reach out all the time, and we share with them how we built the successful peer mentoring program and how our assistant principal in the high school and our secondary counselor train and work with these students. We have after-school clubs, which are led by outside organizations as well as our teachers. Our seniors work in internships all around the Denver metro area and become working contributors to our society. We appreciate and love our family engagement and family involvement. We invite them in. We have a holiday shop going on right now. It's a little bit different in COVID that students can't just walk through there as much as they want, but parent volunteers have been so critical to the success of that holiday shop. And we also appreciate our families, and we let them know when they're a part of our community that we know that their job as parents is a really difficult one, especially now, and we appreciate their partnership as we work together in a community to raise our kids together. So what makes Westgate Community Schools special? And I'm going to talk about 4 different areas here. The first 3 impact all of the school, and then I want to talk a little bit about our concurrent enrollment high school separately, because it really is a special program in Colorado. So Westgate, I could say our teachers are experts in gifted learners. We are, and we do training in gifted education every single year. Our board is trained in gifted education and gifted learners, but more than that, on a deeper level, our staff and board members are profound. We have a profound understanding of the gifted learner. And this is a quote I love from Linda Silverman here at the Gifted Development Center. When gifted children are asked what they most desire, the answer is often a friend. And understanding the deep longing gifted people have to be understood, and to understand someone on a deep level, and to find that one true friend or those 5 true friends that get them and that understand who they are and maybe are passionate about the same things that they're passionate about. This is truly a reminder when I hear Linda talk about that longing for connection, belonging. That love truly is the foundation of everything about community. It is the foundation for all learning. When a child feels safe and loved, then their brain can open up to accept all that they're going to learn around them. Service learning is the next thing that's really different about Westgate Community School. It's not something we do just around holidays or once or twice a year. It informs every week, every day, every lunch we have at Westgate Community School. So the mission of our service learning is that every single week students will become an expert on a topic, identify a service project that will be helpful, useful, and pertinent. They present their project to our community. They work with their service learning group every single week to build that project. And it's an outlet where students who are project and passion oriented can really shine. They can bring their expertise to a group and others can learn from them. And it's a wonderful part of our school. Our high schoolers, freshmen do a special service learning project that's local. Our sophomores go statewide. In years past, they've gone to the Wolf Sanctuary or to Rocky Mountain National Forest to do cleaning of the forest. Our juniors go nationally, and most recently they've gone to Taos, New Mexico to work with Habitat for Humanity, build homes, and learn about the Pueblo style of home building, they learn about a new community and make connections there. And then our seniors go internationally, and we have done projects in Costa Rica. And after the hurricanes in Puerto Rico, we had a group of seniors go there. This year, our seniors are going to Thailand to do elephant research. They've gone to do turtle research. So every class chooses where they will go and what service they will do throughout the world. And past passion projects that are class driven. You can see here, the bottom picture was a group that wanted to educate the school the difference between what is compost, what is recycling, and what is trash. And they put these signs up, and this one is in the teacher's lounge. And it really helps us know where everything goes. And then at the end of every week, that club comes and makes sure that that trash or compost or recycling gets put in the right receptacle outside as well. Environmental education is a critical need of gifted learners. A cohort of us just went to the National Association for Gifted Children conference that was held here in Denver this year. And this spoke to me as Michelle Kane, Linder Silverman, and Joy Lynn said, the exquisite sensitivity of the gifted needs nurturing support for it to flourish. Teach gifted learners to love themselves, one another, and the planet. And we see with gifted students that there's a deep concern about the environment and the planet and what's going to happen in the future. And we know that using environmental education helps students understand more and feel like they can make more of an impact. We not only believe in environmental education, we built environmental education. And so these are pictures of our environmental education campus, which include gardens, chickens, goats, 2 kids now with our goat in our goat pen. We have experimental gardens, fields, an amphitheater, our playground outside. We have a pollinator garden, and a lot of the work can be done outside in our campus. We also have hired a full-time environmental education coordinator. She's built a curriculum, K-12, for environmental education. So when we say we take service learning and environmental ed seriously, they really are core beliefs of our school, and our students interact with these learning every single week. Our high school program is different than any program in Adams 12 and really throughout the state. There are other early college models. Ours is different in that our school is small, 25 students per grade, but then they get on a bus and go over to one of the largest community colleges at Front Range Community College, Westminster. Our freshmen can take up to 1 class a semester, our sophomores 2, our juniors 3, and our seniors can take a full load, 4 classes, and they're at Front Range Monday through Thursday, and they're in their senior internship Friday morning, and they're at school on campus if their internship isn't here in peer mentoring or with one of the other departments, and then they're in their senior seminar class the rest of the afternoon on Friday. This offers our students more opportunities for advanced learning. They can create the path to an associate's degree of their choosing. They can do an Associates of Art, Science. They can go along if they know I want to go to University of Mines. There's a track for that. So our high school students can earn a high school diploma in one hand and an associate's degree in the other at the same time. We also have students who go a certificate route. We had one student who decided she wants to be a nurse, and she got her certified nursing assistant by the time she was done with her sophomore year. And she took the CNA test, and her junior year, she started working as a CNA. And that has gone with her. She went on to nursing school and is working in that field now. And so our students really do have the opportunity to follow their passions and achieve an associate's degree or those certificate programs that will help them once they graduate from high school. We help students choose their courses. So the high school students will work with our counselor as well as the College Now office and their counselors at Front Range Community College. They sit down together. Parents are invited to be in those discussions if they would like, and choose the courses that are best for their associate's track, or if they're just not sure where they want to be, what are those courses that they can take that will fit into many associates tracks at their first classes. We, as I said, transport the students by bus from school. Parents pick up their students when their final class is over at Front Range. Westgate pays the tuition, and parents pay for books and fees. Rochelle, I don't know if your mic is on. Rochelle Goforth and Holly Peterson, both their students, their children graduated last year. Rochelle, what was the cost for books and fees?
So her last semester, I think it was about $175 for fees and $150 for her books. But she passed all her classes, so that was a deal.
And our students have been really keen on swapping books and trading books or selling them back to sites and getting paid back. So that has worked out really well for our students. They are full FRCC students, which means they can use all of the resources, including the writing lab, the math lab, the library, the computer lab. They can do join all of their clubs, and they can earn up to 60 credit hours of free college credit. And like I said, those other certificates too. What makes us special? We are inclusive, full-time gifted education. So we do not require IQ testing for entry into the school. We believe many of our students have that testing, but we believe parents are great identifiers, which I'll talk about, and we believe gifted students are gifted all day long. I've been in education, it's my 24th year, and many of those years were spent as a gifted and talented teacher in public schools, and I would get my students for 1, maybe 2 hours a week. And we would come together and do all of this wonderful work, and then they would go back into their classroom, and there was this disconnect of who they are at different times. And so we are full-time gifted education because gifted kids are gifted all day and all night long for those parents who know they don't sleep, if yours don't sleep very much. So here are some pictures of our kids exploring different things in our school. And when we talk about gifted, we are, as I said, experts in gifted. George Betts and Maureen Neihart created these profiles of gifted and talented. And I want to talk about them a little bit because no gifted person is one type their entire life. They kind of move through these categories. But type 1 is the category, the successful student, where teachers have been trained to identify. And this is why we don't require, if you're transferring in from another school, an ALP, because there is some misidentification or lack of identification for some students. So this is a stereotypical, what you think of as a gifted kid. They raise their hand, they're organized, they turn in all their work on time, they clean the board, they tutor other students, and they really are successful within the classroom. Their type 2 is, it used to be called challenging, and now it's called the creative student. And Betts and Neihart worked at Arvada West High School, one of their first teaching jobs together. And they were actually in a behavior room that sort of nobody wanted to teach in. And they started to notice that their students were wicked smart. And they had a way of understanding nuance in information and how to get around things. And this is what got them started in identifying these different profiles of gifted students, because they noticed that these students were gifted. And some of these students were what they would have called back then the challenging student. These are our non-conformist, divergent thinkers, want to argue things, want to debate things, and really at times can be challenging for some teachers who don't understand the different types of gifted students. There are underground students, and these tend to really bubble up in personalities around the middle school ages. They're underachievers. They're, I'll just do the minimum and float by, kind of stay in the middle of the class when they can do so much more. In middle school, we see this happen to many gifted girls where they want to be like their friends, or they don't want to be called out. Teachers know, they'll come up and say, can you please not read my stories aloud anymore in class? And they sort of dull their light a little bit as to not hurt other people's feelings or to shine too brightly. Sometimes the students do that because they want to get along with their friends. So they'll hide the 99 they got on the test or something and say, oh yeah, that was a tough one, just so that they can get along with their friends a little bit better, they think. We had the dropouts, who are now considered at-risk students. These students don't like school, they're kind of angry, they think everything is irrelevant, and they really are the second grade student or kindergartner who will get in your car and just say, can I just go to work with you, please? School isn't teaching me anything, can I just pass over it? And they want to put their energy into other interests that they have. Can I just stay home and work on my model, please? Just one day. And then one day turns into what they want to do the rest of their life. And then type 5 is the twice exceptional student or the multi-exceptional student. And these are students who have a gifted identification or an IQ of giftedness, but they also have a disability or several. So it may be anxiety and or attentional deficit hyperactivity disorder, or it may be dyslexia, or it may be dysgraphia. So they have something else going on. And typically these students are not identified by school systems very easily. The parents will come in maybe to a second grade teacher and say, my student says the most profound, amazing things and do this amazing work at home. Like, are you thinking, I'm thinking that maybe they're gifted? And the teacher will say, no, I'm just not seeing it. They're really average. They're doing their work. They're getting along, and they're fine. But I'm not seeing that gifted and talented. And typically, it's because the disability masks the giftedness, but the giftedness also masks the disability. So if somebody is dyslexic, but they have great auditory memory and auditory knowledge, they can look around the room, see what's going on, remember things, and it doesn't really hit until the content gets much deeper and more complex, right around 5th or 6th grade, that all of a sudden the giftedness can't keep up sometimes with the disability, and then the disability is finally identified, and once they receive services for that or support for that, then the giftedness shines. So these are students that are trickier to identify for most school districts and schools. But that wasn't it. Betts and Neihart said, we don't want our gifted learners going between those five categories, there's something else where we want gifted students to evolve to. And that was the sixth type that came along later, and it's called the autonomous learner. And these students are what we want all students to become: creative, autonomous learners. They want to learn because it's fun. Learning things and trying new things and struggling with difficult problems is exciting. And we want our students by 8th grade, this will not happen with your kindergartners, I promise you, because mine's a kindergartner now. So we want them to become intrinsically motivated to learn by the time they leave 8th grade. And we want them to learn strategies that work for them, and how to grapple and fail and try again and ask for help and say, hey, how did you do that? How did you learn that? And love the process of figuring things out and gathering information and knowledge. And our students become very keen at understanding the difference between grades and mastery. And I love to tell this story. The first time our freshman class went away to Front Range Community College, we knew that it was going to be different for them. And so they all came back with their syllabus, and we sat down and we said, pull out the syllabus and let's talk about it. And so they were going through it, and one student who may have been called a creative learner said, this says 10% attendance. And we said, yes. And he said, that's compliance. That has nothing to do with what I know. And we said, yes. And he said, great, then if I get an 80% on everything else, I'll still get an A in the class because I'm going to show up. Yes. In that moment, he learned that sometimes as we get into higher education, there is a compliance piece to the grade, but not to his mastery. The goal is that our kids sort of understand this, like I said, by 8th grade. We want them to become problem solvers, and we want them to be reasonable risk takers. No parkour on the playground. It causes anxiety for me, but we want them to say, I want to try this. I'm going to try this and see if it works. I've got a great idea, and not be upset if it fails to the point where they won't start again. It's always upsetting when an idea doesn't work out exactly the way we thought, but we want them to see that as part of the process to the next step. So what do creative thinkers need? And this is what we try to offer at Westgate Community School in all of our classes. That idea that they are safe and they can trust the peers and the teachers in the room so they can be intellectual risk takers. That there's cooperation instead of competition. And I'll talk about this a little bit more. That our mistakes become lessons, not losses. And collaboration is what we need to grow. We're a community of learners. We construct our own learning with the peers and teachers in the room, and that's how we make our social connections. And we know that for creative learners and thinkers, choices are essential. And you can give all the choices in the world as a teacher, but you have to be open when that student comes up to you and says, I have another idea on how I can show you my learning. And we say, yes, show it to us. And this is what we need within our school to nurture our creative thinkers. So here's a little video about motivation and measurement.
In 1962, Desmond Morris published his book, The Biology of Art, which details his experiments teaching chimpanzees to paint. The chimps enjoyed painting immensely and eagerly created works of energetic colors and strokes. One phase of Morris's experiment involved rewarding the chimps for producing their paintings. Whenever a chimpanzee painted, he received a peanut. Surprisingly, very soon the quality of paintings began to degenerate until the chimps produced the bare minimum that would satisfy the experimenter. Any joy found in the act of painting was lost as the chimps uncaringly slapped paint on their canvases and ran to collect their peanuts.
So we know as parents and teachers that if you reward small things. So you'll never see treasure boxes in our classrooms, and students are never given rewards for their learning. We congratulate them, and we talk about all of the work that they did and the struggles that they got through to get to that final answer. We know that, and you know as parents, out at recess, if one student picks up trash one day and a teacher says, here's a Jolly Rancher for that, the next day 20 students will pick up one piece of trash and say, where's my Jolly Rancher? And what we want our students to do and to understand is they pick up trash on our property because it takes care of our community and it takes care of our campus. We want them to do because it's the right thing to do, and it feels good when we serve one another and we work as a community. We also will never pit one homeroom or one advocacy against another in a competition. We'll never say, whoever brings in the most cans for the food drive wins a pizza party. What we do is we set a school goal. We work together to achieve that goal, and we measure it along the way. And if we achieve it, we celebrate together. And if we don't achieve it, we sit down and say, what could we have done differently? Where could we have done some more motivating, or reach out to the community in order to bring in canned goods or coats or whatever it is? Working together in collaboration is much more beneficial and a better skill to learn than competing for trivial things like that. There's enough competition in the world. The kids compete for who's first out to recess. It's a natural thing that they do. And so to reinforce and support collaboration is something we really believe in. How do we define success as a school? I love all these pictures. We measure academic success. We are a public school, free charter school. We measure student growth every year, and that data helps us understand where our students are and what they need. So we use the NWEA MAP test, and we do that in fall, mid-year at winter, and at the end of year at spring, and year after year, so parents can see growth. And we also give the state CMAS test in math, language arts. Science is 2 grade levels, 5th and 7th, and social studies, it depends if your school is chosen for that, and it's given in 4th and 8th grade. Looking at this, Westgate is the blue line, and I like to look at this, and the nation is in the red line. In math, we see, yes, our students started out a little bit above the national norm, and in 8th grade, math starts to sort of level out. There's not as much growth as we see in earlier grades. And in our students, we see that they diverge from that norm and continue to grow. And we believe that for a number of reasons. The intrinsic motivation to learn, as well as the opportunity for advanced math classes, both here in our high school, but also at the college level, to keep them growing and learning. In reading, this is the same cohort, and again, they started out a little bit before, and I used to wonder, what happened in 7th grade? What happened? And I used to make up a story that, oh, somebody must have broken up with somebody, or, you know, something happened on a TV show. And what I learned later is they took this right after a teacher needed to leave. And so there was a change in teachers. And this shows me the profound impact of change on students, but also the loss of a trusted adult. Our assistant principal in the high school was the teacher who came in after that. And she said the growth to the next year, she takes great pride in, that students are resilient, and they will trust another adult, form those relationships. And then again, the nation started to level off in 8th grade, and our students continued to grow, again, because we believe of the whole child focus that we have, but also the offerings of extended learning and opportunities for advanced learning. Last year, these are our SAT scores for our seniors. We, we're well above both the state and Adams 12 district. And our students matriculated to some really wonderful colleges. Some went straight into the workforce as well. Some decided, who maybe didn't finish their associate's degree at FRCC, to stay and finish their associate's degree before moving on. And we had scholarships, and students go across the nation into wonderful programs and settle into great schools right here near home. The more we stress in school only what we can measure, the more we need to remember that not everything that is measurable matters, and not everything that matters is measurable. So we redefine success here at Westgate as well. Our environmental education is a success. Our nationally recognized peer mentoring program, success. Our goats. I love this picture of one of our kindergartners holding one of our kids. Joy at school is a success. That people feel comfortable being themselves. The We Believe in You poster is a tradition here at Westgate. We're a K-12, so when the school 3rd through 8th grade is taking the CMAS tests for weeks at a time, our kinder, 1st, and 2nd graders have to be quiet in the hallways and respectful. And so they have started the tradition of plastering the walls with supportive signs and sayings to become part of that testing time at the school. And so when students go from 2nd grade to 3rd grade, they're actually excited to see, what are the halls going to look like? What are they going to do for us? And they know that it happens, so it takes some of that fear away from that first year of standardized testing. Bully prevention. Here's a little information about us.
Using this month to introduce the program to all of its students.
Bully proof it. That's the message here at Westgate Community School in Thornton.
The positivity level has gone up tremendously.
Kaylee Wilcox is encouraged. She experienced bullying firsthand at another school.
I cut my hair short for a cancer patient, and they made fun of me a lot for it, but I am fine now.
Now she's on a committee to help prevent bullying, and she's helping to introduce a brand new protocol called Enough Walk and Talk. It starts with a symbol.
When people are being picked on, sometimes they don't have a good way to let the other person know, hey, this needs to stop. And I'm not feeling proper, so the enough symbol, it's like this, and you just say enough when you do it.
If that doesn't work, the student can walk away, and if that doesn't work, they find a teacher and talk.
And through practice, we're going to be able to empower all of our students to do that.
The school will also start a kindness box working with standforcourage.org to nominate students for rewards. The school is also encouraging inclusion, even on the playground.
At the beginning of the year, the school installed 2 of these blue buddy benches. So if a student doesn't have anyone to play with, they can come over and take a seat.
You can see how it works. Education at this school includes lessons in kindness.
Now, the Enough Walk and Talk protocol will be taught to all students at the school, kindergarten through 12th grade, and hopefully it will sink in and make some sort of difference.
So great to see the kids taking.
I love this. They talk about our kids taking the leadership role, and this really was brought by our student leadership team. They went into every classroom, taught the Enough Walk Talk protocol, and our students still use it. And they're retrained every single year to remember, oh yeah, if something's happening to me or somebody says something that I don't think is nice, I can say enough. And everyone in the school knows that means stop. And even if they don't have the voice, they can just do this. Or if I'm a bystander, I can say, hey, that wasn't nice, stop. And they can stand up for one another in a way that everybody understands at the school. We also were highlighted in an Indie Flicks film. It's a documentary film called The Upstanders. It came out January 2020. Look at it online. There's a lot of wonderful information about the effect of bullying on people. They highlight one specific family, but also the power of the bystander and power of those people who are upstanders for one another, and really the encouragement to become an upstander. So I'm excited that we were highlighted in the film as a school, and that I also was highlighted as one of the experts in the film, and it was great for the school.
Using this month to introduce the program to all of its students.
So we are a bit different as a charter school. We are different in gifted education, and that's okay with us. We have kind of forged our own way as a grassroots charter school. We believe our teachers are professionals. We believe they know their kids and follow the data and know how to teach, and they use the curriculum that we purchase in different classes as they need as a resource. But the teacher is central to pulling all of the resources that are necessary for kids. So I know when our founders, they used to tell the story when they said, we're going to create the school that's, and it was 13 years ago, that central social emotional learning is central to the school, and service learning, environmental learning, and that's going to be the core of who we are. And we're not going to require gifted identification, because what we know is gifted educational practice, gifted instructional practice is good for all kids, and all kids grow with that kind of teaching within the classroom. People said, what are you going to do? And so we believe now that we understand that mental wellness and social emotional learning is so very important, that Westgate has been a leader in learning, and we aim to continue to be on the cutting edge of education and continue to grow as a school. So a little bit, we love TED Talks at Westgate Community School. So let me show you one of our favorite TED Talks.
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes, and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course, you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts, 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over-glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, TED. Thanks.
I had to get the little dance in at the end. But we do believe it's important to lead in education, but we're not alone in this leadership. And our community, our teachers, our students, our families, our staff are part of our growth and our innovation. And we appreciate and we have gratitude for all of those who came before us, the shirtless dancers and the first followers and all of those people who have come to join Westgate in this movement about what education can be for kids and how we can create a world for gifted students that is kind, it has service and serves the world around them. So enrollment, if this sounds to you like something that's right for your child, a right fit for your family, please enroll. You apply to Westgate using the application. The application is now open. You can attend an information night, check. Take a tour. Some of you have already done that, check. During the tour, you're really going to hear more about the nuts and bolts of the school. Start times, the little bit different calendar we have, how do we order lunches, what's before and after schools care like. And you really will see kids in classes doing what I was just talking about and seeing how that all works within the school. And Rochelle will take you on a wonderful tour throughout our teams and into the high school so you can see it in progress. The applications are due for the lottery on Friday, January 28th, and our lottery results will be pulled on it's a Friday, February 4th. And each team, this is always a question, how many seats are open on the 5th grade team next year? And the question is, we don't know. So we do an intent to return to our families in January before the initial lottery, asking like, hey, are you returning to Westgate next year? If they say no, we're moving to Texas or we're moving down to Pueblo, we release those seats in the initial lottery. But what we know is people decide to change schools or change careers and move at different times of the year. So as seats open, even after the initial lottery, we continue to offer those seats out really through September. So if your student is not drawn, they're put into a wait pool. Siblings get priority at Westgate. So if you have 2 students applying and 1 accepts a seat, that will move your other child up within the wait pool. And that's why it's not really a list, because if 1 child accepts a seat, the sibling moves up within that pool of students, and it's all done automatically for us. Thank goodness for innovation there too in technology. So that's the K-8 enrollment process. High school has a little bit more. You apply to Westgate, again, through the same application process. You also have to apply to FRCC online. It's free, it doesn't cost anything. If you live in this community, you will be accepted. But you need an S number or a student number in order to take the AccuPlacer. And the AccuPlacer is a test that is both literacy and math. You do not have to take the AccuPlacer all at once. My recommendation and suggestion to do is whatever your strength is, go in and take that first. And then take the other tests so you'll know the environment on another day. When you're feeling mathy, take the math test. When you feel like you're ready to sit down and write, to read and write, and you're in that mindset, go take that. You can get the ticket on our website, or Rochelle can send that to you as well through enrollment. So take that. Again, you attend an information night here, check, come take a tour, see it. For older students, there is the possibility for a partial shadow day if we can get that scheduled for you. Once you're accepted into the high school, you attend an FRCC information meeting, and we will let you know when that is. And then there's something called a dean meeting where the dean comes and meets all of the new students for next year. We will let you know when that is. It's usually in April. Students attend an advisor meeting that I talked about with our counselor, a college counselor, and then you, if you would like to come, or the student. And then you pick your class for fall. 20 seats are available for freshmen next year, and current Westgate students do have preference in the lottery. Quick conclusion.
Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking. Don't settle. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary.
We think Steve Jobs would have been a great Westgate kid. But to his point of the speech, keep looking, find the school that is exactly right for your student, exactly right for your family, and don't settle until you find it. And I hope it's Westgate, but if it's not, keep searching for that one right school, because when that happens for a student, magic takes place. So I encourage you to find it. Thoughts and questions. I'm going to stop presenting so we can see one another more. But if you have, I don't know if Holly, there have been already questions in the chat, or if other people, if you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
No questions in the chat yet.
Okay. Nothing.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
Miri is typing something.
Good. So we will be able to answer questions if you're a little shy right now. Thank you. If you're a little shy right now or have something that's specific to your child that you would like to ask, you can email me. You can email our communications email address. You can ask Rochelle Goforth. Please sign up for a tour and see it all happening at Westgate. We would love to see you and meet you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Tracy, nice to see you. We got to talk, so nice to see you.
Yes, same. Nice to see faces.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful night.
Yeah, I'm not. That person's question is coming.
Are new kiddos accepted really well with kids? Absolutely. So this is part of who we are as Westgate. The first day we start in circle and kids meet one another, and it's their new group, their new family, and that's the amazing thing. Being in different schools in different parts of this nation, that's wonderful about Westgate is that kids really are accepting, and they're going to show you around. They're going to make sure that you feel comfortable. They'll tell you about the teacher if they know. But really, our kids come together in different groups, and because they move from team to team, all fifth graders are new to fifth grade. And so there's always a group of new people that are coming together on the team of fifth and sixth graders. So it's a really special place, and our students do feel very welcome, even if they haven't been here all along. We have students who leave, and we've had parents take jobs in other states, and then they come back 2 years later, and it's like they never left. So it really is a great place to come into midstream. Anything else? Sure. It is. It's amazing to watch our kids do that. So it's great. I don't know if there's, do you see anything else coming up, Holly?
I do not. And
Okay.
I think we only have Jim and Mary still in there. So
Okay. Thank you so much. Please email or call. Yeah.
thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. We already sent in our application, so thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks, Mary.
Good
Bye.
to see you.
Hey, Rochelle.